The decision to take police officers to Haiti was reached upon when William Ruto was in the United States of America, where he had a trip there. And what happened is that US, which was led by Biden, initiated the issue, and then Dr. William Samoei Ruto decided to accept it and then come and inform our police officers and Kenyans at large that Kenyans are going to be deployed to Haiti to go and ensure that there's law and order. So in a nutshell, that was an initiative of Biden. One of the things that he told President William Ruto is that we are going to fund it. And indeed, they committed some funds to go to Haiti. However, what happened is that even just before the removal of Biden from office, the fact remains that still there were complaints that Kenyans, especially the police officers in Haiti, were complaining of underfunding. They wanted more funds to come, so to be channeled to that region, so that it could be able to help them in their daily activities. So meaning there were problems before. Now, the cancellation of the funding to the Haiti policemen has now escalated because now has escalated the problem because there'll be no funding completely. They have to look for an alternative source of funds that will be able to help the police officers. Now, up to this point, we ask ourselves, is it necessary now? If the financial benefits that they were getting from there are no longer there, now is it necessary? Now, this puts our country in a certain position where it is definitely going to be hard for them. But the fact remains, eventually they have to come home, because if they are underfunded, why do you risk your life to be there? Because we know the police officers, the Kenyan police officers, are not that good enough to manage the Haiti. Now, the fact remains that US had gone there and failed with better equipment, better police officers, but with better training. How about now the police officers from Kenya? Will they be able to manage? Recently, I watched a video where we had one of the police officers over Haiti now speaking and saying that the Kenyan police officers are most of the time in the armored cars. They keep on shooting from the armored cars. They don't get to these people. They don't get to the ground. That means very well they are not sure on whom they are going to face. They know it's dangerous for them. So the fact remains that the training we have, the capabilities, even the equipment that we have is not enough to deal with the Haiti gangs. That's the fact. However, that's not the basis of this analysis here today. The basis of my analysis here today, it is why President Trump decided to cancel this funding to Haiti mission. That is going to form the basis. And before I take you through, if this is the first time, guys, you are watching my videos, please make sure that you subscribe. And then at the end of watching the video, please give me a thumbs up. Just like the video. And then comment. Share with me so that we'll be able to know what exactly you guys are thinking. And then it will guide me in my future analysis. So I'm asking myself, what is this that resulted to Trump canceling the mission? Number one in my list, it is the interest of the Americans. The Americans want right now to concentrate their resources within them, build themselves, and avoid too many expenses that are resulting to resulting to no benefits to the country. So the fact remains that Trump wants to cut these unnecessary expenses and be able to redirect the money to develop America in one way or the other. The second thing that resulted to this, it is simply the fact that most of these missions that are supported by the US, most of them, the money is being embezzled. Now let's come back here to Kenya. For instance, now the cancellation of Haiti, it was also followed by the cancellation of the US aid. And the fact remains that so many people are going to lose jobs. But the fact remains that the roles those organizations have been playing in the country has not been felt that much, because you realize that the money is being embezzled, people with the high salaries, and eventually there's no significant impact they're making, particularly on the grassroots. So they realize that if there's no benefit to the people itself, they can get it out. Apart from that, also there's no benefit to the American people. If you bring, for instance, US aid, what does it benefit? How does it benefit the American people? So that's what resulted to Trump deciding that no, this is not necessary. Plus many other programs that they were having. So another thing that resulted to Trump eventually canceling this Haiti mission, it is simply the fact that there's a lot of embezzlement of Kenyan funds, not American, but Kenyan funds. You realize that Kenyans are committing their police officers to Haiti. Kenyans have a lot of money to an extent that they're building a new state house, changing the entire architectural design. The Kenyans are spending a lot of money buying luxurious cars for members of parliament, for political class in general, including the president. The president has to speak right now. He travels every day in campaigns as early as now with these people, which spending millions of money, billions of money. And this money now, it could have been channeled to other problems or issues that were being funded by USAID. They could have even helped, even funded now the Haiti mission if at all Kenyans so much interested in it. So the fact remains that there are a lot of embezzlement that occurs. The American intelligence shows very well that it is clear Kenyans have a lot of money to an extent that they are wasting. So the additional money gives our leaders the luxurious moments to be able to loot more because those that can take care of other interests are there. For instance, AIDS. AIDS can be catered for by the Kenyan government, but a lot of money is channeled to embezzlement. That means very well that these kind of programs can be, if US withdraws, probably Kenya will wake up and start ensuring that there's proper utilization of public resources. So that's one of the reasons I feel strongly that resulted to Trump canceling this kind of a deal. So apart from that wastage, we also realize that there are so many corruption cases that have been reported across the country. The first one is Aurora and Kimarel, where 21 billion shillings were lost. That's not just enough. There are so many others that have come up, where we realize that there's embezzlement of Kenyan funds, where we realize that corruption is all over, cases right, left, and center. Now, when these corruption cases are reported, the fact remains that, and actually they're always reported in mainstream medias, the fact remains that we have the American people also watching this, and as a result, the intelligence is able to inform that there's a lot of money in Kenya that is being wasted through corruption. So therefore, there's no need of funding them, yet they can be able to fund themselves with the corruption money that they're stealing. Now, last but not least, I also feel strongly that some of these illegal activities that have been taking place in the country, like abductions, killings, poses questions to everyone that how come we are able to deploy for police officers to Haiti to go and restore law and order in Haiti, yet in the country here today, we have so many Kenyans who are being abducted and getting killed. Why don't we use the police officers locally? Then it brings up the question that what was the intention of President William Ruto to take the police officers to Haiti? And as a result, I ask now on this channel here, is William Ruto smart or selfish? Because what was his intention of taking the police officers? What is his reason of ensuring that the police officers, despite the underfunding, they're still sent there? Who is he trying to show that is good? Why does he want to make his name through such kind of sacrifices for the Kenyans? So therefore, these are some of the questions that are being raised because of this kind of an event of taking police officers to Haiti. Apart from that, let me remind you one simple thing here. Kenya's president, William Ruto, has been putting himself as one of the best presidents in Africa. Until Ibrahim Traore came up, Ruto was always making speeches in the Western countries, right, left, and center. So he's basically impressing other presidents, attracting recognition. So even taking the police officers was simply trying to attract recognition. And that basically has not augured well with Kenyans. And as we speak today, even Kenyans were questioning who instructed William Ruto, who shows the willingness, who actually supported William Ruto to take the police officers to Haiti, because most of the Kenyans said no to it. Even it was challenged in court. There was no government. So many other questions, so many low questions that were being raised. That is my take. I don't know what's your take. Please let me see it on the comment section, and please remember to subscribe and also give me a thumbs up after watching the video.